Welcome back to Nurtured Noir, where we celebrate the beautifully complex journey of Black motherhood and womanhood. I'm Nanji, your host, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today, we're diving into a topic that I know hits home for many of us: family planning, boundaries, and that age-old question: how many kids are too many? If you've ever felt pressured by family, friends, or even strangers to expand your family or justify why you're not, this episode is just for you. So grab your coffee, tea, or even a glass of wine, and let's talk about setting boundaries and reclaiming control over your journey. Let's start by acknowledging the elephant in the room: society's obsession with questioning women's family planning choices. For some reason, people feel entitled to ask things like, when are you having your next baby? Don't you want a boy or a girl to balance things out? Why don't you want more kids? These questions can be intrusive and frankly so exhausting. And as a Black woman, the pressure can feel even greater. And at the end of the day, people just need to mind their own business. There's this underlying expectation rooted in culture, family dynamics, or even religion that we should keep growing our families without much regard for our personal goals, mental health, or financial stability. But let's flip the script for just a second. Why do we feel the need to justify our choices? Why do we allow others to dictate what's best for our families? I think it's time to reclaim that power and our time. For many of us, cultural expectations play a huge role in family planning. In some cultures, having a large family is seen as a blessing or even a necessity. But here's the thing: your worth as a woman or a mother isn't tied to the number of children that you have. There's also the Black superwoman trope. And personally, I'm tired of that. It's this idea that we can do it all, have it all, and regardless of the toll it takes on us physically, emotionally, spiritually, and even financially. And let's not forget the economic realities. Raising kids in this economy is expensive, especially the more that you have them. From daycare to education to just everyday essentials, it quickly adds up. So when someone asks, how many kids do you want? The real answer might be, as many as I can raise with love, stability, and intention. And that's okay. And even that is too much of a response. All right, now let's talk about some boundaries. Here are a few practical ways to answer these very intrusive questions. First, redirect the conversation. I would say, why do you ask? It's a simple yet powerful response that flips the script. It may make the person feel uncomfortable, and honestly, they should be, because why are they checking for your uteruses? That's none of their business. Second, be honest and firm. We're happy with the size of our family right now. Or, that's a personal decision we're keeping between us. I really like this answer because a lot of the times in the Black culture, it's easy to want to over-explain or put other people into your business unintentionally, sometimes intentionally. But using this answer, it just places a firm line in the sand that says to your family member, listen, this is between me and my man, or me and my partner, whatever the case may be for your family, that this is a decision that you want to keep between y'all, and whatever opinion that somebody might have is honestly not necessary. Third, use humor. We're just trying to survive the bedtime with the kids we already have. Now, I like this because it's kind of a neutral ground, because it also redirects the conversation, because it might get the other person to talk about bedtimes, or like, oh my gosh, I remember when my kids were little, yada, 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 going down memory lane, and takes off the pressure from somebody that is not confrontational. 4, set a boundary, period. I would say, I'd appreciate it if we didn't discuss family planning. It's a private matter. This is my all-time favorite one because it sets the expectation to people when they're asking these questions. And honestly, they should I'm going to add a third and just say, it's none of your business. And to some, that might be harsh, but in all honesty, sometimes that is needed, especially if you had a history with somebody in your family or friends that don't know how to mind their business, or even with a stranger, which, side note, that's really awkward. So I think this is a perfect response for just sending that message like, I don't want to talk about this, it's none of your business, and let's just move on. So all in all, it's okay to protect your peace and your personal decisions. Remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you choose to build or not build your family. Now, I want to share a quick story here about just my own personal experience with family planning. So for those of you who don't know, my husband and I, we have 2 girls and 1 boy. And we absolutely love our little munchkins, or gremlins as I like to call them, or puppy children, for those of you who know where that reference is coming from. And I remember specifically from my family and my friends, after we had our first girl, they were just like, are you guys wanting to try for a boy or for another kid? We're like, yeah, but we're just taking our time right now. We're just figuring out the ins and outs of being a first-time parents, and that was just a situation on its own, especially just having the village be the 2 of us, because we were figuring things out. And my side of the family lives in Canada, and my in-laws, God bless them, they were working so much, so it was difficult to kind of find that balance being first-time parents. And of course, you want to figure it out on your own as well. That's one of the big things that my husband and I wanted to focus on, was though we appreciate the village that, is and was around us at that time, we wanted to kind of get a handle on things, because at the end of the day, it was just going to be me and him. And I remember when we had our second daughter, people were like, oh, are you done? Or do you want to try for another boy? And of course we wanted to try for a boy, but at a certain point it became really annoying because, I'm biased. Our kids are super cute. So people are like, I feel, wanted us to have more kids because our kids are absolutely adorable, especially the ages they're at now. And though there was no malicious intent behind it, it just felt kind of annoying. Like, people just kept asking us, especially those who didn't really know us for real. And when we had our son, he and my middle child, they're 18 months apart, give or take. And people are like, oh my gosh, like, you had him so soon, like, like all of these things. And it's just kind of like, well, weren't y'all the same people that were asking us if we wanted to have another kid? You know what I mean? So that situation just kind of brought to my attention that, people, they love kids and they don't really understand, I feel, or might be far removed from the realities of raising a child. And I feel like a lot of our parents, those who are millennials, the boomers, they were working 2 to 3 jobs, you was at auntie house or grandma house. I don't want to say that they didn't raise us, but they had more of a sense of a village, that it made it easier, quote unquote, easier to raise children, because they had to work and, kind of build up that foundation. For us millennials now, I find that it is difficult to find that nuclear village, because a village that some of us might have to find is through friends or extended family, whereas the main family, it's difficult to find that, because you would hear, oh, I already raised my kids, I'm not raising another one, or you have to go through this by yourself, it's just part of parenthood. And it's just like, why should I struggle? Especially if you understand what it is that I'm going through, you have gone through that, wouldn't you want to be more inclined to help? And sometimes that's not always the case. And asking people questions about their family life is is weird. It's a lot weird. It's not a little bit weird because you're not going to be raising these kids. The parents are. So regardless of how cute the kids are or how amazing the couple is, again, I'm biased. Me and my husband, we're amazing parents and we're an amazing couple. And by the grace of God, we are doing the darn thing and raising our kids. It's very, very hard. And I can only imagine how that must feel for somebody that is a single parent, to want to give their child a sibling, but they just can't see it right now. And that's okay. And I want to just kind of use this space for anybody. Feel free to email me, to write down a comment, DM me on Instagram at the Nurtured Noir podcast. If you have your own stories about your experience with people asking you these evasive questions, because we're here, sis. I get you. And, I really want to make this a point where that when it comes to family planning, that it is between you, your person, and God. That is it. And whatever you decide, whether you want to stop at one or you want to have 6 or 8, as long as you're able to divide that attention to each child however you see fit, that is a-okay. And that is your business. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this and reiterate that the number of kids you choose to have or not have is your choice and yours alone. Don't let anyone pressure you into decisions that don't align with your goals, values, and well-being. Because when you decide to have a child for somebody else that is not your husband or, your boyfriend, or your man, you're having it for family members, it can really cause resentment and anger, and that could be translated on to this beautiful blessing. And we don't want that. We don't want to carry on that trauma. So take the time to really sit down and figure out what that looks like for you. And be mindful to not explain that to anybody besides, the person that you're living with. And if you're not living with anybody, talk through it with God. And whatever decision that you make is yours and yours alone. And if somebody, whether it's family or friends that don't want to support you, I'll support you. Okay? So if this episode resonated with you, I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. Please head over to our Instagram, the Nurtured Noir podcast. And like I said before, share your stories or how you've handled these kinds of questions. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review for this podcast. It helps us grow this amazing community and reach more women like you. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And until next time, remember to stay nurtured, stay bold, and always stay you.